Beep, 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 beep. All that's new and approved from the Jester News. Hello. How are we this morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be? Shout out to our Australian, American, Canadian friends and people from Sweden and Iceland that I've been talking to. It's been terribly exciting lately. Got some good stuff coming up shortly about the civil service. Do a little bit on that, I think, in the future, so that's good. But today, I want to talk to you about an article that appeared in the Old Telegraph, and this article is in relation to the London School of Economics. Professor Kathleen Stock, who we all know well in terms of her story, Joe Phoenix, Professor Rosa Freeman, a few other folk at the Open University, and a spat that's continuing from last year. I call it a spat. I don't mean to be derogatory in any way, but that's what it seems like. It said there's something about academia here, you know, because I'm not an academic. I work with academics and I really enjoy working with them. But I got to tell you, right, I've come across some vicious people in my life, but in academia, my goodness me, they can go for you. It's that sort of passive-aggressive, middle-class, be kind, sip the wine, but stab you in the back type stuff in it. There's some real nasty, passive-aggressive people in academia that makes you almost long for the boxing match of the more working class response to things. So it's very strange. It feels very classist, but it appears that something's gone wrong with the sorting hat at the London School of Economics. So let's have a look and see. Slytherin, Gryffindor, and all that, you know, Rowling related regalia. What's happened is there's been a demand for an apology from the London School of Economics, and I must say a demand that is not anything but reasonable. It's absolutely reasonable. They should demand it. Who have condemned an ideological cabal existing. Now, the people that have done this are the Open University Gender Critical Research Network, formed a while back, OURGCN, and doing some great work in that particular field. So essentially what they're saying is that they have an ideological cabal at the London School of Economics. What's wrong with my glasses? I need a new pair. At the London School of Economics, an ideological cabal at the university's Gender Studies Department, which is the largest in the UK. Well, what the hell is the London School of Economics doing with the Gender Studies Department? And it doesn't take Superman to work out that these Gender Studies Departments are the problem, right? So just defund them. What's the government doing? Right? Amend the UKRI law. Amend the law. Right? Defund them. Don't give them any money. Foolish people. Right? So they've demanded an apology. Now, the reason that they've demanded the apology is because there was a row, a flare-up of such, just after the OUGCRN was launched and began its work. Links in the dubras as usual in the description. What they intended to do was to bring together a range of academics under the banner of the OUGCRN and scholars who share a common interest in exploring how sect bodies come to matter in their respective research fields. This network also shares a commitment to ensuring that a space within academia is kept open for rigorous exploration of issues of sex and gender. Now, I can understand why they want to do that. People are interested in gender, but you've got to remember it's an American term. I tend to think that what they should mean in English, or what would be clearer for people to understand in England, would be if you just simply called it sex roles. Then you can ignore the Americanized version of gender and just get rid of it. He says. He wishes. So shortly after launching, a statement of solidarity with Open University staff appeared on the LSE's website. This is after the OUGCRN launched. So this is where the story began. And it was signed as the entire Gender Studies Department. So the entire Gender Studies Department, which is obviously made up of ideological Fruit Loops, had signed this particular document that they launched, this letter, saying that the network, the OUGCRN, caused an antagonistic environment. Gosh, debate in academia? Oh my. What's wrong with them? Public money. They're getting public money, these Fruit Loops. Okay? So they said that it was causing an antagonistic environment. Now, last summer when this occurred, it was swiftly deleted. Not swiftly enough. The damage was done. It was swiftly deleted following a furious backlash And LSE bosses launched an urgent review of how it came to be published. It's not an urgent review. It's not complicated. I get sick of this academic niceness. Just get 6 bouncers in, right, and empty the place out with force if necessary. I'm only kidding, right? Stop messing about. An urgent review. No, who published this? I did. You're fired. Why is this so hard for academia to do? Why does academia not flex its muscles more, as any other workplace would do? It's this polite, we'll discuss it over a cheese board and Stilton and port. There's a sort of politeness going on that really does get in the way. So the public denunciation, for that is what it is. They were denouncing the new network of thinkers. We denounce the omnes coitus interruptus, testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch. We denounce thee. That's what they were doing, a kind of Game of Thrones whipping and walking down the street naked thing. They called it an explicit, this is the irony, right? They called it an explicit anti-intellectual attack on gender studies. That's 2 words I never want to see in a sentence. Intellect and gender studies. Not happening, right, okay. An explicitly anti-intellectual attack on gender studies, trans, non-binary and gender non-conforming people, and inclusive intersectional feminist politics. There you go, critical social justice. Get them out. Defund them. Right? These people wish to bring down the nuclear family. These people wish to get rid of the Western way of life. These people wish to withdraw and remove boundaries of all kinds, including the boundary between adult and child, which we've discussed before when we talked about that Butler-esque nonsense that when Owen Jones interviewed the High Priestess herself as she gurned and mugged and talked about breaking down the boundaries between adult and child. Get them out. I've said it before, it's a prevent issue. Why is the university messing about like this, the LSE? Just fire them. It's not complicated. God, it's like, it's like having, some kind of terrorist working in the middle of your organisation. Because that's what they want to do. They want to destroy everything that you and I are able to enjoy today. So that the kids in the future will all become activists and they'll be off, trying to subdue everything and destroy everything for their power and oppression narratives. Get them out. It gets worse, right? Intersectional feminist politics. The letter, purportedly on behalf of the LSE department, it wasn't purportedly, they put it up. Right? Purportedly, my backside. They're nitpicking now to try and find a way that they don't have to do anything, because they're not very good academics at putting things right. That's why they haven't got rid of any of these ridiculous students that are causing trouble. Just get them out, kick them out. Kick them out. What the hell is wrong with you? The letter, purportedly on behalf of the LSE department, said that gender-critical views, that biological sex cannot be changed. It's not a view, it's fact, right? But why do they speak like this? Cannot be changed. Undermine trans rights. Or do they? What, the right to unreality? The right to lie? The right to deceive? The right to pretend you're something you're not? Really? You think that's a right, do you? A right to be deceptive? No. Not having it, right? And relies on and invests in racist, they can't help themselves. Here it comes again, you see, critical race theory. In racist colonial understandings of sex and gender. What they're saying there is that before the white people came along, that those of colour who weren't white, or anybody else we invaded, didn't know what sex was. It's profoundly racist, this stuff, right? As if nobody ever colonised anyone before we did. Ahistoric, racist, wibbling, funded by public money at the heart of LSC. Get them out. That's it, just get them out. Staff has said they feel too intimidated to speak. You reckon? No surprise there. But the dispute deepened last month. It's coming. The dispute deepened last month when it emerged that a senior leader in the faculty, one Jacob Breslow, here he is. Let's talk about diddling kids. Had spoken at a conference organised by a group that promotes support for paedophiles. Wow, and wow again. Jacob Breslow, who, emails show, coordinated the statement as a senior leader of the department. It was him that wrote the statement denouncing OURGCN. Can you see it? Is the picture becoming clear? It was him that did it. There is a cabal. Kathleen and the crew over at the Critical Research Network are right. There is a cabal. These people are operating on public money and being paid by the public to bring down the very society that gives the public the luxurious life it enjoys today. Get him out. All right. So he gave a presentation in 2011 when he was probably about 16 or 18 or something to a group that calls for paedophiles to have the right to live in truth and dignity. You want to lose her there, Breslow, weren't you, eh? Unfortunately, I think more came out about him afterwards that we didn't know about, and he had to resign as a trustee of Mermaids. Folks, we've got to wake up and smell the coffee here. Public money, millions of it. Millions of public money being spent and given to these queer theorists, gender identity, critical race theory, absolute critical social justice nutters. Nutters, absolute insanity. So the network run, this open university gender critical research network, have written to the head of the head director of LSC, who is called Baroness Minouche Shafiq, and claiming the department appears not to uphold the values of science, debate, academic freedom and scholarship, which most LSE academics hold dear. Do you think so? I mean, do you, watching today, Jesterites, do you think? I would say that the department certainly does not uphold the values of science, debate, academic freedom and scholarship, which most LSE academics hold dear. This is the largest gender studies department in the country, and it needs to be shut down, and it needs to be shut down today. It's not complicated. There aren't two sides to this. Get them gone. All right, they exist to promote power and oppression narratives, which are designed to be destructive and disruptive. There is no other reason for their existence. None. They produce nothing of worth. It's an academic circle jerk. All they do is reference each other constantly. It needs shutting down. Why don't they get it? Why doesn't LSE get it? Oh, well, it's not academic freedom. This has nothing to do with academic freedom. You have a parasite in your midst. Nothing to do with academic freedom. This is about parasitism. It has been warned. They warned the OURGCN that it's an hostile environment for students and staff espousing gender critical views. They're not gender critical. Well, they are gender critical views, but it's reality. They're espousing reality. They call it gender critical views. Gender is immaterial. Jesus Christ. It's just immaterial. Apparently there's been no apology for the defamatory LEC statement. No apology. No, of course there hasn't been an apology because these people are so certain of their absolute right. Yeah, their absolute right to talk drivel. It's entirely unscholarly behaviour is the word that they've used. I would use it so much stronger words. I would say that if this was a business, if they were working within a business environment, they would be fired for incompetence. And that's exactly what should happen here. Incompetence, and not just incompetence. I think there is malice at work, and I very rarely say that. I think there is malice at work in this department. I have no proof of that. I'm making it up, just like they do, but I think there's malice going on here somewhere, and they need a very deep investigation, which should be investigated by the Office of Students, and put together a group of people that can do it. I'm ready when you are. So they want to just shut everybody out. This cabal doesn't like dissent. We know they don't like dissent. There's been no debate from the very beginning. An LSC spokesman said, academic freedom and freedom of expression underpins everything we do at LSE. Students and staff are strongly encouraged to discuss and debate the most pressing issues around the world in a mutually respectful manner. There's the problem, right? There's the problem, that word respect again. I'm sick of hearing it. Respect is immaterial. You get tolerance. You don't get any more. And I expect you to tolerate me. I don't expect you to respect me. This is this be kind, be nice, we'll talk about it over some port and Stilton, mentality that has brought us to this bloody precipice. I tolerate you, that's all you get. I tolerate you. And in that toleration, you'll debate with me. And yes, I might get snitty with you occasionally. So what? If you're going to be a gender-addled grievance gerbil, or some kind of windy bum trumpet and talk nonsense, I'm going to get snitty at you. That's what this is. They're looking into the material provided by Breslow. They're going to investigate these reports. Investigate. Do you know how long it takes to investigate in an academia? They're like the Ents. I've said it before, like the Ents. It takes a very long time to say anything in old Entish. And Dr. Breslow, apparently, who is on sabbatical leave this term, was contacted for comment. Sabbatical leave. My sources tell me he skipped the country. But then what do I know? Anyway, go. Go, network, go. I think you're doing great work, and I hope that you will take time to have a look and see what their work is. I will include the links in the Dubras. These are good people, all right, attempting to put right a terrible academic wrong, because that's where it all started. And until we make academia absolutely responsible for their actions, nothing is going to seriously change. We need a government intervention, not just an investigation. We need an intervention. And we literally do have to start pulling this stuff out of everywhere. And until that happens, I despair of where we're going to go next. But not enough to now be, thinking, I've got to keep doing my warrior teachers. And I've just done the third session with a new lot. Brilliant. We had a great time. These are smart people, from all over the world. And that's a pleasure. And I hold on to that because this can't win. And you know why it can't win? Because wickedness never does. There'll be collateral damage. We all know that. But it never wins. Not in the long term. Right? But we're in the fight now, folks. And that's meaning. And we all need meaning. And you should take meaning from this. What you do, say every single conversation, every single tweet, everything you say, every observation that you make is important. Every action you take is absolutely important. Don't give up, all right? We keep going, just like the good people over at I'll get this right, OURGCN, Rosa, Joe, Kathleen, John. Don't give up. We need you. Jester out.